It's me, it's CGB, and as I alluded to in a previous video reviewing Elesh Norn, Mother of Machines, and whether or not we'll see much play in arena formats, we have to talk about all these Norns. Too many Norns, so many Norns. What you're looking at right now is the Scryfall search for Elesh Norn, Mother of Machines, and we have 10 variants. And you might say, whoa, CGB, some of those arts are the same. Those aren't actually variants. But the thing that you want to look for are set numbers. This isn't like foil and not foil. You'll see starting here, we've got 414, 415, 416, 418, 419, 420, 421. These are probably different treatments, etched versus regular foiled. And yeah, there's some oil, special oil treatment as well. And behold, a set has 10 versions of one mythic rare card. Who are all these Norns for? Who is buying them? Why would they buy them? Will I buy them? Should you buy them? I will tell you right now, just right here at the start of the video, I am not buying any of these Elesh Norns. I'm going to get this one right here. This one down here. Card number 10 in the set. I'm not getting any of these others, and I'm not buying the cosmetics on Arena. Because I have my reasons, and we're going to get into exactly why in this video, and you might find some of it very interesting because it's probably not what you expect. But on the other side of it is who is buying these Norns. Is there a reason? And is it good for the game to have this many Norns? I think that in some ways it is bad for the game, and we're going to get into just what having all these different card variations really means. So let's start with the super serious question. Who is this for? This has become a pretty common question with Wizards products since the creation of ultra high-end collectibles in the Magic space. And who is Elesh Norn, Mother of Machines? Who are all these variations for? And the first answer is one that maybe you didn't expect, but they really are for the casual player. Let me explain. If little Jimmy opens a pack and sees Elesh Norn, Mother of Machines, the card that little Jimmy really wanted, in a cool, weird art that was unexpected, that he's never seen before, that is an exciting experience. And then, of course, you run to the internet and you look up the card and you find the exact version that's like got your card number in the corner, that version of the card. What is it worth? It's kind of a treasure hunt in a pack. In that way, it does add excitement opening the cards, but at what cost? Because once again, it becomes very confusing when there are so many of these. And the biggest cost for all of these falls on the mega collectors, the ultra whales. And I can speak for this a bit because I've been one. I'm a recovering one, and I'll get on to that in a minute too. But it was very much a thing that I tried to do this year, which is buy all of the cards. I gave up at a point, which I'm going to cover in this video. I've talked about on stream, but never on YouTube before. And buying all the paper cards is a thing. It just appeals to a collector's side of the brain that brings us a lot of weird satisfaction from getting all of them in the right place. It's like Pokemon. You've got to catch them all, right? And there are more of those people out there than you probably think. There's also just kind of the subset collector. We know there are a lot of Elesh Norn fans. We expect this card to be absurdly popular out of the new set, both in Commander and in standard formats. And even though Commander players only need one, and even though people in other formats at most could need 4, there will be people who try to get all the Norns because it's Elesh freaking Norn. People attached to that identity. So it's for them too. And the mega collectors. And the price they have to pay to get 10 different versions is a lot. And they may not be happy parting with it, but if they're a mega collector, there's also a rush where they sort of enjoy it. I will tell you, I have felt that pull. One of the last collecting sets that I tried to collect was Kamigawa Neon Dynasty. This one came out in January of last year, and it had 302 cards technically in the set in boosters, but there are 514 freaking cards in this Scryfall search because of all the different versions, all of the special neon ink versions, and all of the etched foils, and all of the regular foils, and the borderless foils, and the sagas with alternate arts on the back. It went on and on and on, and I did get them all, including The ultimate scam, you could say, of that particular set, Hitsugu Devouring Chaos, the Neon Ink Hitsugus. Each of these with progressively tougher rarity to get, and the only difference is on this unplayable rare Hitsugu Devouring Chaos that I don't think anybody's actually run seriously other than just to try it out. There is the red one, which sits at a cool, as I'm making this video, $1,446. For a card that will probably never get played. This really tested my resolve as a collector, and I did it. I paid up and I got all the Hitsugus. I completed my collection of Kamigawa Neon Dynasty. And how do I feel afterwards? Immediately afterwards, I felt pretty good for a few days, but in hindsight, I found it did not make me happy. I feel stupid, quite frankly, for spending that much money on some cards that I won't play that are going to sit in my binder. I found that the extreme high end of collecting wasn't for me. So I will not be purchasing all these Norns. I'm going to get exactly this Norn down here, Elesh Norn, Mother of Machines. If I'm really feeling frisky, I might try the Phyrexian language one because those are cool. But as you see, there's even 2 of those in 2 different treatments. So better probably just to keep getting this one. And how I collect now, which has really changed since the Hitsugu incident, we can call it, is instead of trying to get every single different one of these, which are probably meant for the ultra mega collectors, I get just the basic one, the one that is in the regular set. You see down in the corner, if you zoom way in, it might be very hard to see actually on the video, but I bet I can adjust that. There we go. There's that set number, right? And it says 10 out of 271. I'm going to get the 271 cards. I'm going to collect a paper version of each of them, and I'm going to get them in foil. And some of you might be like, whoa, foil, big spender. And it is a little bit of an upgrade, but I'm going to tell you why a part of me has learned to love all these variants. It's because these variants eat up, they like eat up a lot of the collector's price in the market. I'm not sure if I'm going to phrase that perfectly, but let me explain. This Elesh Norn, Mother of Machines, in foil, even in foil, as a mythic and a chase card in a set, is probably going to be much cheaper than all these other versions in foil, because these are seen as, you know, rarer, hard to find, more collectible, etc. And because of that, I'm going to pay less for my Elesh Norn. Now, I'm not talking about my value from a collector's side. I understand that these other variants will probably be worth a lot much more over time. I'm talking about collecting to play with the cards, which is what I eventually do. I collect, you know, one of each card in the set for Commander, so I always have it whenever I need it. And this Elesh Norn is probably going to stay at a much lower price. Let's look at an example here. The Wandering Emperor from Kamigawa last year has many different variants that were printed in that set. Right now, you can get a regular one for $20.69, or you can buy the foil for $22.84. A very small markup. What is that, like 10%? 10%-ish markup for the Wandering Emperor in foil. That's cool. Back in my day, foils were super expensive and way out of reach for a casual collector or a young CGB who didn't have a lot of money. When we look at some of the different variants, like the borderless one, we see that the price goes up much faster, almost a double, $21.49 up to $38.74 for the foil of this particular version. When we get to the Uwu edition, the anime fans, it goes from $77 to $109. So a much huger markup on these cards, and here, of course, etched only coming in foil, but a much bigger markup, both by percentage and in dollar amount, than on the regular art, regular version. So basically, if I'm going in for this version, if these didn't exist, this version in foil would be worth a lot more. And we actually have a recent example of this. Urza Lord Protector was only printed in this particular art and frame because it's a double-sided card. The fact that there's the Mightstone, Weakstone on the back kept them from doing borderless and a million different treatments. So there's only one version. And you see that on Urza, you get a huge, like a much larger increase. Not as huge, but still significant, like about 30 to 40%. It goes from $24-ish to $33-ish for the foil. So you have to pay more for that foil. Whereas these other variants keep the foil price of this regular version of the Wandering Emperor down. At least that's been the experience so far since this extra printing stuff really took off in Throne of Eldraine. Also, I'm going to say a quick word about Arena. On Arena, I will not buy any of these Norns either. I will not buy the alternate arts for Elesh Norn, but there's a very different reason than you probably expect for that. On Arena, I do buy a ton of the cosmetics, but I only buy them of the regular art, and the primary reason is because I'm making content. You guys are going to watch me play Arena a lot. Hopefully, on the other channel. It's one of the more watched Arena channels. And I want people to easily, just passing glance, barely paying attention to what's going on. I want them to barely be able to look at the screen and recognize the card. And if I have a million different Norn arts, some of these, it's very hard to tell what is happening and what the card is. And I want people to very easily be able to identify the card when they're watching the content. I don't want them to be straining trying to figure out what a card is. And I think a lot of the new arts from like Streets of New Capenna, Kamigawa, and the stained glass, stuff from Dominaria, I think that those are very hard it's hard to tell what the character is, basically. So on Arena, I'm not buying any of these other things. And in paper, I'm only buying this one, and in foil. And actually, the way that these have kept the price low has helped me mentally handle seeing all these Norns, because I think the visceral reaction to all this is it's too much. What the hell is going on? Why are there a million different arts of Norn? Why? That's probably why you clicked on this video, to hear somebody rant about why do we have so many Norns? And I think that that's an easy reaction to fall into for most Magic players. But when I see these, I see a lower price on the Norn that I'm going to buy, and that makes me smile a little bit. Maybe it'll sting some of the collectors, but I've made peace with my collecting tendencies. So that's where I stand on all these Norns. Are you going to get all these Norns? Which Norn are you going to get? What's your favorite Norn? You going to trade Norns with somebody else who has Norns? How many Norns is too many Norns? And what do you think? Should every Chase Mythic have 10 different versions in the booster packs? Why not? Thank you for watching this video. As always, I'll see you in the next one. You're cool.